Well, hello and welcome. My name is John Turk, and I'm one of the directors at Fiduciary Pension Partners. And today's discussion will focus on Social Security, the power of Social Security, and the three things you need to know. We'll also talk about some of the different variables that go into the decision as to when and how to receive your benefits. This afternoon, I'm joined by Stuart Ritter from T. Rowe Price. Welcome, Stuart, and glad to have you as one of our valued partners to discuss this important topic.
Thanks for the chance to be here.
Now, before we dive into the meat of the discussion, I'd like to give you a 30-second commercial on Fiduciary Pension Partners. We are an independent registered investment advisory firm. We specialize in retirement plans. And there's a couple of things that are really important differentiators. Number one is we serve as plan design experts, helping plan sponsors design and align their retirement benefit plans in order to optimize their benefits and in line with their corporate objective. Some elements of that include investment analysis, where we both select as well as monitor the investment menu that includes target date funds as well as the core menus. We also serve as the plan sponsor and the employee's advocate, working with vendors, record keepers, TPAs, as well as asset managers to ensure that the value of the retirement plan is being achieved. We also provide fiduciary education to both the plan sponsor as well as the committee. As you can see, we offer over 20 different training modules for committee members. And then most importantly, during this time of market volatility, we provide employee education to the employees, the plan participants. Sometimes they'll include their spouses to get them comfortable with the plan. They understand the plan, the provisions, and so that they can maximize the plan benefits and achieve financial wellness. Now, at this point, I'll stop talking and turn it over to Stuart Ritter, who is one of our valued partners and really is the subject matter expert when it comes to Social Security. Stuart?
Thank you, John. I appreciate the opportunity to share this information with all of you. I'd like to start, though, with a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "Knowledge is a process of piling up facts. Wisdom lies in their simplification." And this presentation is not designed to overwhelm you with this giant pile of facts about Social Security. What we are trying to do in this presentation is simplify it to the point where you gain some wisdom. You walk away with some fundamental understanding of how Social Security actually works, so that then you're in a position to know what additional information you need and what decisions you should make about your own benefits. I'll let you read the screen for a second. This is not your typical legal disclaimer. Okay, it's a typical legal disclaimer because it was written by legal, but it reinforces the point that I just made. This presentation is not getting into every exception to the exception, every nuance, every detail about Social Security. What I want to spend my time focusing on is how you're feeling about Social Security and educate you on the fundamentals so that you have that wisdom and can make good decisions. And when I ask people how they're feeling about Social Security, here's what I generally hear. I'm concerned about outliving my money. I've worked since I was 16. I'm retiring at 62 and taking my Social Security, and there's nothing you can say that's going to change my mind. And I'll tell you what I say sometimes that changes people's minds. We, notice it's a collective pronoun there, don't know when to start Social Security or even how to decide. And underlying all of these feelings, I don't want to make a mistake. Social Security is a very important source of income for most retirees. And the more you get from Social Security, the less has to come from your own savings. And that's why people don't want to make a mistake. What we want you to do is come away from this feeling confident in taking the next step and what that next step needs to be. So let me go into the three things we'll talk about today: the common misconceptions there are about Social Security, the different retirement benefits that the Social Security Administration offers, and the next steps you can take to get the information you need. So let's start with the common misconceptions. Misconception number one, I hear this all the time. Why are we even having this conversation? Social Security is just going away. And when people think that, they're often thinking of their reaction when they hear the word bankrupt. Social Security is going bankrupt. And the reality is, it's not as if there is an account somewhere with your name on it that's somehow going to disappear. The way Social Security works is every payday, money comes into the Social Security Administration from people's paychecks. You may have noticed it coming out of your paycheck, and essentially immediately goes out to retirees as benefits. Now, for a while, Social Security hasn't collected enough money from workers' paychecks, so they've been using some extra money that they'd collected along the way. The fancy term is trust fund to pay all retirees their benefits. It's currently estimated that a decade from now, if nothing changes, the extra money that Social Security has had, the trust fund, will run out. But the next payday, workers will still get paid, money will still flow in. And then to make sure every retiree gets a paycheck, the amount of that check will have to be reduced to 80% of the currently promised benefit. Now, I'm not saying a reduction to 80% is a great thing, but what I am saying is it's not zero. The checks are not going to stop because the money comes in from workers' paychecks and then it goes out to retirees. That's how Social Security is structured. The reality is it's not going away. Payments are not going to stop. Money will continue to flow into and out of the system. Second misconception is that Social Security payments begin right after you retire from working. Either your employer tells Social Security to start it, or, and this is understandable, well, that regular money I had flowing in from the paycheck stops from working. I'll start my money flowing in regularly from Social Security. But those are two completely separate decisions. The reality is they don't automatically start and they don't need to either. You decide when to retire, whatever that means to you. You stop working full time and never work again, or maybe you work part time for a while, or you cycle in and out of the workforce. That's why the two of them don't coincide. They don't have to happen simultaneously. They're separate decisions, and you choose when each is going to happen. The third misconception has to do with a technical term in the Social Security realm, and that's full retirement age. People will see that phrase and think, well, full retirement age is when I'm supposed to stop working, or it's when I'm required to start my benefits, or maybe it's the best age to start my payments. Full retirement age is actually none of those. Full retirement age is an age set by Congress for the Social Security Administration to use in calculating benefits. Now, it's somewhere between age 66 and 67 for everyone, but that's really all it is. It's an age that the Social Security Administration needs to pump into the formula they use, and it's set by Congress. How do you know what your full retirement age is? Well, it's pretty simple. Go get your Social Security statement. I have a sample up here, but you can go to the Social Security website, download your statement, and in the upper left-hand corner, let me blow that up for you, there is a couple paragraphs there. The first sentence of the second paragraph will tell you your full retirement age. In this sample, it's 67. You might have a different age there, somewhere between 66 and 67, but that is the easiest way for you to find out your full retirement age. So we have all these misconceptions that I hope I've at least set aside for now. So instead of focusing on those, here's what you should be focusing on:
And
deciding when to begin Social Security payments. John?
and Stuart, if I could interject here, we at Fiduciary Pension Partners, part of the value that we bring to the table is working with participants, employees. Obviously, those conversations happen more frequently as folks are getting closer to retirement. One of the questions that we get is around longevity. We know folks are living longer. How does that kind of play into the big question as to when should I start getting my Social Security payments?
Yeah, that longevity issue is the big driver of when you should do it. And here's why. The timing of when you start your Social Security benefits is your decision. It's really the only decision you get to make. You don't set your full retirement age. You didn't create the formula that Social Security uses. And it has a significant influence on outcomes. As we'll see in a second, you can start your Social Security benefits sooner, but you get a smaller amount. You can wait to take your Social Security benefits. You get a bigger amount, but you have to wait to get that amount. And where it makes sense for you to take your benefit depends on what age you want to plan to. I mentioned one of the things that people are worried about is outliving their money. For folks who are worried about living a long time, having a bigger Social Security payment, if you live that long time, can help with all the expenses that you might encounter later in life, healthcare, long-term care, whatever you're facing. Let me get into those different retirement benefits, and this might help you understand this point a little more clearly. Here's how Social Security works. There are 3 retirement benefits that the Social Security Administration offers. Your own benefit as a worker, a spousal benefit, and a survivor benefit. And for each of these, I'm going to cover 3 things: how you qualify, the payment amount, and the importance of timing. Now, again, when I get into this, I'm not getting into every nuance. I'm not getting into every exception, but what I am getting into is how it works for most people in most situations to give you enough of an understanding of how these different benefits operate that you can start getting your personal information from your Social Security statement and start making the decisions that are right for you. One thing I will say from the outset, if you happen to qualify for more than one benefit, let's say you qualify for your own benefit and you qualify for a spousal benefit, you don't get both. You get the higher of whatever benefits you qualify for. So you may qualify for more than one, but you don't get more than one. You only get the highest one. So let's get into your own benefit as a worker. And the reason I talk about it as a worker is because that's how you qualify for it. 2 boxes for you to check. Are you at least age 62? Did you work and pay Social Security taxes for 10 years or more? If you can check both of those boxes, generally speaking, you qualify for your own Social Security benefit. Now, it's certainly possible that for whatever reason, you can't check that second box. And if you can't, you will probably qualify for one of the other benefits I'll talk about in a minute. So stay with us. Now, how is the payment amount determined? I'm not going to get into all the intricacies of the formula, but what I will let you know is it's based on your highest 35 years of earnings. They do not have to be consecutive. Social Security looks at all of your years of earnings, picks the top 35. If you don't have 35 years of earnings, let's say you only have 30 years of earnings and 5 years of 35 where you don't have any earnings, they will use zeros in their calculation, which might be a reason to continue working part-time even in retirement. Because if your later earnings replace an earlier zero, your Social Security benefit goes up. So this covers, do you qualify? This covers the payment amount. Let's spend most of our time, though, talking about timing, because timing is the most important thing for you to focus on. Your monthly payment is based on the age you choose to start receiving your benefit. Now, in the upper right-hand corner of your Social Security statement, I'm back to my sample here, you will see a set of bars. Let me blow them up for you. Here's what that looks like. And these are sample dollar amounts. Everyone's dollar amounts will be different. You see a bigger dollar amount at age 70. You see the smallest dollar amount at age 62. What is the same for everybody is the percentage. So let me show this chart to you in a different way. You receive your maximum Social Security benefit at age 70. That's when you get your biggest payment. You can start your payment as early as age 62, but if you do, you are cutting your payment essentially in half every month, every year for the rest of your life. Can you hear the dramatic music welling up behind me? I emphasize that because I don't think a lot of people recognize that if they take their benefit at 62, they're cutting it in half. And this is where that longevity comes in. Yes, I can start at 62, but now I'm receiving essentially half a payment. Well, for that to work out in your favor, you have to die fairly early in retirement for that smaller benefit that you received for those years to work out better than having waited till age 70 and getting that larger benefit. That's the decision that may help the most in protecting against that longevity that most people are concerned about, because you get the maximum benefit at 70, you cut your payment almost in half if you start at 62. And that's it. That's all I'm going to say about worker benefits, because we want to keep this simple. We want you to understand those three things: how you qualify, how the payment amount is determined, and most importantly, what you see on the screen right now, the importance of your timing decision about when to start your benefits. Which puts us to the position where we can talk about the spousal benefit. Now, there is a single spousal benefit. One of the ways you can qualify for it is as a spouse. And if you could check these three boxes, you're at least age 62, you were married for at least 1 year, and your spouse has started receiving their benefits, you qualify for the spousal benefit. Now, there's another way you can qualify for the spousal benefit, and that is as an ex-spouse. It's the same benefit. You're just qualifying for it a different way. And you do so by checking the 5 boxes you see on the screen. You're at least 62. Your ex-spouse is at least age 62. Your marriage lasted at least 10 years. You've been divorced for at least 2, and you're currently unmarried. Now, let me point out a distinction between the list on the left and the list on the right. If you're qualifying as an ex-spouse, it does not matter whether or not your ex-spouse has started their benefit. It matters if you're married to them, but if you're the ex-spouse, that doesn't matter. And the second thing I want to mention is that what your ex-spouse does doesn't matter, applies to everything. What they do doesn't affect your payment. What you do doesn't affect their spousal benefit. You don't even have to talk to them. If you want to know whether you're eligible for a spousal benefit as an ex-spouse, you call the Social Security Administration. You give them your personal information. They will tell you what you're eligible for. They won't tell you what decision you should make about when to start your benefit, but they will tell you what you're eligible for and how much the dollar amount is. So let's turn to that next. What is the payment amount for a spousal benefit? Your maximum payment is 50% of, bear with me, your spouse's payment at their full retirement age. Now, don't panic. I know there are a lot of words inside that green oval there, but we know how to do this. Now, I'm going to do it for a spouse, assuming you're married. If it's an ex-spouse, you're just calling the Social Security Administration, and they'll give you the number. But if you're married, here's what you do. You go get your spouse's Social Security statement, and you look in the upper left where it lists their full retirement age, and then you go to the bars on the right, you find that full retirement age, and you read the dollar amount that's over on the right-hand side. That's it. What is their dollar amount at their full retirement age? In my sample right here, it's $2,000. Full retirement age of 67, the dollar amount at that age is $2,000. Now, this dollar amount is so important, I think we should give it a name. And given how complicated all this Social Security stuff is, I think we should call it a PIA, because this stuff is a pain in the... Interestingly, Social Security actually calls it a PIA, except they say it stands for primary insurance amount. But you and I can decide what we think PIA stands for. The dollar amount at someone's full retirement age. So in my example, I now know my spouse's payment at their full retirement age, $2,000 from my sample Social Security statement. So if their primary insurance amount is $2,000, your maximum spousal benefit is 50% of that, or $1,000. That's the maximum spousal payment. And I say it's the maximum because timing matters. You get that maximum spousal payment at your full retirement age, somewhere between 66 and 67. Look on your statement for your full retirement age. You can start your benefit as early as age 62, but if you do, you're reducing your spousal benefit down to 70% of that maximum every month, every year. Here comes the music for the rest of your life. John?
Great information, Stuart. I did have a question, and I know you said, hey, we're not going to get into the nuances, but one question that we get from participants is, can I collect my Social Security and maybe continue to work part time? How might that work?
Yeah, let me make a hopefully very clear statement. You will always have more income if you work than if you don't work. So people get wrapped up in this. How does my working and the Social Security interact? Bottom line, you will have more household income if you work than if you don't work. Where people start getting hesitant is because of some of the language that's used. If you start your Social Security benefits before your full retirement age, if you wait till after your full retirement age, nothing I'm about to say applies. You can earn as much as you want, nothing happens. But if you earn above a certain dollar amount, if you've started your Social Security benefits before your full retirement age, Social Security will postpone some of your Social Security benefits. You will hear other words. You will hear you will be penalized. You will have it withheld. There is a cap to how much you can earn. You will lose your Social Security benefits. None of those words are conveying accurately how this thing actually works. Social Security will postpone some of your benefit. So here's what happens. You're earning a certain dollar amount. You've got income up there. And maybe they say, all right, we're going to give you $1,000 a month. We're going to drop it to $900 a month because of how much you're earning. Well, $900 a month plus what you're earning, your household income's up here. Then when you reach full retirement age, if they would have been paying you $1,000, they recalculate your benefit. So your benefit goes above $1,000 to make up for the money you weren't getting here. So even if you stop working, you're getting a higher Social Security benefit after you reach full retirement age. More household income while you're working, more household income afterwards. Do not let the words that you hear about working and getting Social Security benefits deter you from working. You will always have more income if you're working than if you don't. All right, let's get into survivor benefits, the third of our three benefits. Do you qualify for survivor benefit? Are you at least age 60? Were you married for at least 9 months? Are you currently unmarried? Or did you remarry after age 60? For the spousal benefit, you have to be unmarried. Full stop. But for the survivor benefit, if your spouse passed away and then you got remarried after age 60, you still qualify for the survivor benefit. And there's a second way to qualify for the survivor benefit, and that's a surviving ex-spouse. You're at least age 60, your marriage lasted at least 10 years, you're currently unmarried, or you're remarried after age 60. If you can check these boxes, you qualify for a survivor benefit. What's the payment amount? The maximum is 100% of the payment your spouse was receiving as their own benefit. And this is the most common situation. By age 70, people have started their Social Security benefit, and most people will pass away after age 70. Whatever they were receiving, that becomes your maximum survivor benefit. So if they started their benefit early, that makes the maximum survivor benefit that dollar amount. So when someone is pounding on the table and saying, I'm taking it at 62, and there's nothing you can say that's going to change my mind, and I say to them, well, if you do that, you're cutting your own benefit in half for the rest of your life. Sometimes I'll get people say, I don't care. And then when I say, you're cutting your surviving spouse's benefit in half for the rest of their life, that's when people say, oh my, I didn't realize that. This is something I need to think about. That's the importance of timing, because your spouse's timing affects their payment for their lifetime and your survivor payment for your lifetime. If they take it at 62, your maximum survivor payment is $1,400 in this example. If they wait till age 70, your survivor benefit is $2,500. Now, that's the maximum payment. You get that at your full retirement age. You can take the survivor benefit as early as age 60, but if you do, you know the drill. You cut it down to 70% of what the maximum might be. So with the survivor benefit, there could be a double reduction. The original spouse takes it early and cuts their benefit in half. Then when they pass away, the surviving spouse starts at 60, and then that smaller benefit gets cut down to 70%. It's important to focus on the timing because timing has this huge impact on the outcomes. Let me skip this. So here are the questions we've answered. There are 3 retirement benefits: your own benefit as a worker, the spousal benefit, and a survivor benefit. We talked about how to qualify for each, how the payment amount is determined, and the importance of timing. We've also talked about 2 terms that you will run into when you're looking at information on Social Security: full retirement age, which is an age set by Congress based on the year you were born, and your PIA, the monthly payment amount at full retirement age. That's the primary insurance amount. And again, if you qualify for more than one benefit, you don't get both. If your spouse passes away, you don't get to keep the worker benefit that you have and get a survivor benefit. Social Security will figure out which one is higher, but the other one goes away. You only get the highest benefit. You only get one benefit at a time. So here's what to do next. Focus on the timing. I know I keep harping on that, but that's because of how important it is, especially now that you understand that your decision about when to start your own payment affects how much you receive, when your spouse can start their spousal payment. Remember, one of the ways to qualify for a spousal payment is the spouse had to have started their payment, and the amount your surviving spouse receives as a survivor payment. So how do you do all this? Well, you start with the questions you probably still have. When should I start my Social Security payments as a worker, especially if my decision affects someone else? If I qualify for more than one, how do I decide when to start each one? And most importantly, how does it fit into my overall retirement income strategy? Because again, the more you get from Social Security, the less you have to take from your own savings. And if postponing the start of your Social Security means you take more from your retirement savings now, and then you get the larger Social Security, the largest Social Security payment at 70, so you can radically drop the amount you're taking from your own savings, how do you make that overall holistic decision? Here's what to do. Get your information, learn more about the topic, and start building that retirement income strategy. Go to ssa.gov, go to the Social Security Administration website, download your statement. If you're married, download your spouse's statement. If you have an ex-spouse, call the Social Security Administration and get the ex-spouse information. Review your full retirement age and your spouse's. Find out how much of a PIA your spouse has. And once you've got all that information, you're able to use the interactive workbook we've put together that you can get from John. The workbook summarizes all the information in this presentation and gives you a place to write down all this information. Do I qualify for my own worker benefit? Do I qualify for a spousal benefit? How much is it? What is my primary insurance amount? What is my full retirement age? You'll have all that information in one place so you can start looking at your particular situation and making decisions about your best interest. If you want to know more about some of these topics, like what if I work after I've started my Social Security benefits, or how do Social Security taxes work, or we need to plan as a couple. So it's not just about what's the right time for me, but how do I coordinate the timing with my spouse? We have a variety of articles that you can get from John that will give you the information you need for your personal situation. And number 3, build your strategy. Determine how Social Security fits into your overall retirement income. Read the articles, call Social Security. As I've said, John and crew can help. And that, I hope, will allow you to finish watching this video confident in taking the next step. John, wrap us up.
Thank you so much, Stuart. That information was awesome, informative, and I know that our participants and their families will benefit from watching this. To you, our audience, thank you for taking the time to view this information. I hope you find it informative. And at Fiduciary Pension Partners, we are here to help. You can see up on the screen our phone number. Give us a ring at 877-377-4015 or drop us an email at info@fiduciarypp.com. We're here to help answer any questions that you have. We can walk you through the informative workbook that T. Rowe Price has put together, help you understand your decisions so that you can make the best and most informed decision for you and your family. And again, let me thank Stuart for the great information and the great resources that T. Rowe Price has provided. You're a tremendous partner, and thank you so much.
Thanks for having
That
me.
that concludes today's discussion. Again, if you have any questions, these videos are housed on our YouTube channel, as well as the one on Social Security. We have a whole host of others, and we're here to help. Thank you.